I rise today on the 100th day as a United States Senator, in fact, Florida's newest United States Senator, to urge my colleagues to support SHJ Res 75, a Congressional Review Act resolution to rescind burdensome energy efficiency requirements on commercial refrigerators and freezers that were imposed by the Biden-Harris administration at the 11th hour just before President Trump's inauguration. The Biden-Harris administration, as we all know, and many of these agenda-driven regulations pushed out of agencies, was a disaster for American families, businesses, and industries across our nation. Their reckless regulatory agenda prioritized Green New Deal virtue signaling over good fiscal stewardship and the interests of the American people by exposing manufacturers and other stakeholders in our industries to regulatory uncertainty and forcing American families to shoulder the burden. As Florida's Attorney General, I was proud many times to lead the fight against regulations that made no sense and were driven by partisan-sick, unelected bureaucrats by filing challenges against these regulations in court. And while it is regrettable that the Biden-Harris administration ignored our concerns and the complaints by Floridians and instead forced these harmful regulations into our states and into our industries in the waning hours of their administration, I am proud to now be here in the Senate to help continue the fight against these sprawling, harmful, nonsensical policies that were pushed by these agencies at the very, very last minute of the Biden administration. If this regulation were allowed to remain on the books, Biden's short-sighted, harmful energy standard would force commercial fridge and freezer manufacturers to discontinue product lines and close factories in the U.S. The result would be layoffs and open the door for other foreign competitors to step in instead of those here in our own country. Food producers, distributors, wholesalers, grocery stores, consumers would be severely impacted by a sudden unavailability of these commercial-scale appliances at the center of America's food supply chains. And that would expose yet another critical supply chain risk associated with foreign dependence. And this would be a disaster. We need to focus on right now prioritizing American businesses, reducing costs for American people, and we need to be focused on opening factories in America, not closing them, especially for such critical products as these that allow for large-scale food distribution and storage. The government should not be making it easier to plan and establish food distribution chains. We should be making it easier to plan and establish food distribution chains rather than undermining them with harmful regulatory uncertainty. And as we saw time and time again, in the last administration, they attempt to force costly and burdensome regulations onto the American people and businesses in an effort to advance a partisan Green New Scam agenda. The effects of prices on American families and businesses were devastating. I firmly believe Biden bureaucrats gave no thought to the effects, jumped right in, and the motto became, frankly, above everything else, politics first, Americans last. I am proud to take this fight head on to ensure that Americans are not shouldering the cost of the last administration's regulatory state. And I would like to thank Congressman Craig Goldman of Texas for leading this effort in the House, and I urge my colleagues in the Senate to vote for this resolution. I look forward to the legislation heading to the President's desk to become law. And Mr. President, with that, I yield the floor.